Hello everyone, and today we're going to be going over should government prevent businesses from having a monopoly. So I'm Hallie McCalla, and this was for the Department of Business and for my S course, which was Econ 200S, Intro to Microeconomics. So today we're going to go over kind of a current event that displays these microeconomic trends, and we're going to cover monopolies. So we saw an antitrust lawsuit in 2024 of August, kind of between Yelp and Google. They've had some minor grievances in the past, but they decided to take it to a lawsuit. And according to CNN in 2024, that they finally filed the lawsuit, and they're still kind of waiting to see what happens, but they've had plenty of issues leading up to this. So what are characteristics of a monopoly? So what we see commonly is there's significant barriers to entry. So that means basically that any emerging brand or product can't even begin to break into the market because of this kind of the invisible barriers to the market entry. And we see that usually one firm absolutely dominates the industry. There are several examples of this in real life, obviously, but like one very good and prevalent one is Google Chrome as a search engine. As we see, there's typically no sufficient substitutes according to our textbook by Chang in 2024. We see that when there is no, sufficient substitutes, people will often go to the one that has a monopoly. And we see that they absolutely dominate the market, and they are very common still to this day. So to go over basically the lawsuit and the grievances between the two, we're going to show how they close out the competition. Yelp accused Google of having search engine manipulation. So they would basically manipulate the results when people would try to search something up organically. And they would also plant several textless reviews. So it would just show a couple of stars, but it wouldn't really show any reasoning behind it. And those were getting more hits and stuff than Yelp's reviews, which actually had reviews and reasoning behind the rating. And then we also saw from CNN 2024 that Google had several contracts to become the world's default search engine, so there wouldn't be any competition at all. So we can kind of see why Yelp was upset about this, because Google really has begun to close with the competition, so no one can really compete with them. So how are microeconomics ultimately tied into this case study? It is a real-world monopoly. Even though we talk about them plenty of times in several economic courses, there are real-world examples all around us. And this is examples of several antitrust regulatory bodies. I mean, there are several government agencies that try to keep this in check, and it is important that we see those working in the real world from day to day. And it also measures the market power, and we can recognize the barriers to entry. If we as a society realize that there are barriers to entry, we can kind of revive competition, and we can measure the market power, given to some of these brands who are saturating the market. And these are my references. Thank you guys so much for attending, and I hope you have a great rest of your evening.